Bachelor, Survivor, Hell's Kitchen, The Voice. These are all reality TV show competition series. Now there are hundreds of competition shows online and on reality TV. Netflix has even made up some of their own shows, including The Circle and Love is Blind. Here, I have a picture that shows the most popular reality TV show by state. Now this is a little bit older and a little bit dated, but you can see how Idaho's #1 was The Apprentice for a while. This just goes to show how popular reality TV shows really are in the United States. So today I want to share how reality competition shows are not as real as viewers may think. I'm going to do this in 3 different ways. The first is to show how producers manipulate the contestants. The second is how they manipulate the medium. And then the third is how the contestants take what happened on the show and use it in their lives and how it affects them to this day. So let's talk about how, first, the producers tend to manipulate the contestants of these reality TV shows. The first way they do this, and the most popular way that I've found through research and through my own personal watching of these shows, is through alcohol. Take The Bachelor and Bachelorette. Alcohol is in the house at all times, and we've all heard or seen the blow-ups that happen because of drinking too much. This season there was even an issue called Champagne Gate, where a girl stole another girl's champagne, and it ended up being drama for the whole series. Now, the second way that producers can manipulate contestants was shared through a previous Bachelor producer via the List staff, January 7, 2019. She did an interview sharing how her job was to make the contestants cry. She did this in a number of ways. The first was she would carry lemons and jalapenos around on her person to make herself cry, hoping that the reaction would be for the girl to cry as well. Her job had multiple different things. One was when a contestant was kicked off the show, they typically go into a sedan and they drive around, and the producer's job was to get the girl to cry in the car. Now they couldn't stop filming or leave the car until the girl cried, and so she would use her lemons and jalapenos to start herself crying, or she would really just ask some really tough questions to get at the heart of why the girl had gotten kicked off. She even shared how sometimes she would ask if it was because, do you think it was because of your weight or how you look, to get the girl crying. She also shared how there was one instance where she was asked as a producer to go into one of the last 2 remaining girls' rooms and tell her that the Bachelor was going to pick the girl to get her excited and ready for the next day so that the girl would be super excited, only to come to find out that the guy proposed to the other girl, so that way she would be that much more devastated for the camera. A Newbie to Newbie shared on Cheat Sheet, which is the website dedicated to reality TV, on July 19, 2018, how in Hell's Kitchen they also manipulate contestants. They do this through switching out the ingredients without the contestants knowing. So a contestant could put a ton of salt into what they're making, and really it's sugar. So then they get up to the judges' table and there's a whole plethora of drama because it's made with the wrong ingredients. Now, not only do producers manipulate the contestants in these reality shows, but they also manipulate the medium. Let's take a look at that. The List staff shared again how they'll film the whole entire series, and then they'll go through and they'll find the villain, they'll find the angel, they'll pick out the person that they think is going to be the most popular with the viewership, and then they'll create the story along those lines. There were a couple different things there I read where girls would say that they had no idea that they were the villain until they started watching the show, and they were shocked by how they were perceived on screen because of the actions that they had done during the filming of the series. They had no idea that they would be the villain. The way that they do this is through frankenbiting. According to the Chicago Tribune, they do this a lot on The Bachelor, The Hills, Survivor. Now this is when you take someone's voice and you put it over the top of a different image or video. And so you could have one contestant talking about the hard time that they're having and show her getting into a fight with another person, and it might not actually have direct implications at all, but they've now manipulated the medium to show her having a hard time, even though it could be taken out of context. Tanubi also shared how on The Voice, the producers really are just looking for a sob story. So they have a ton of talented people on there, but if you don't have a sob story to back up your talent, then a lot of times you're not chosen. You'll be skipped over to someone who has talent and a sob story. Nat Bierman on TV Overmind shared on December 22nd, 2017, how on Survivor, the producers actually stop and decide how the votes will be read. And so that way you don't know exactly who's going to get kicked off until the last vote is read. They want to leave everyone questioning until the very end. It builds more viewership and excitement. Now, producers can manipulate both the contestant and the medium, and this leads lasting effects to the contestants, which people really don't actually look at or care about. So let's really dive into that. Mariel Loveland, who's a writer for another reality TV-focused website, shared an interview with a girl named Keely, who was on Legends of the Hidden Temple. Now, this interview took place 19 years after the fact. Keely shared how the producers of the show 19 years earlier had shared with her as a 12-year-old girl that she could definitely get through the maze and that everything that she would be able to finish really, really well. Now, this built up some extra confidence in her, but when she got to the actual maze, it was impossible for her to do. This left her with lasting impressions of being a failure and not being able to do something that any 12-year-old girl should be able to do. Looking back, she shared how something like that was actually impossible for her to do from the beginning. She also shared how she has a lasting impression left from the way that she was treated with the guards and the producers, and she's scared to do haunted houses, mazes, anything where someone could jump out and scare her. Jillian Harris, who was a contestant on The Bachelorette, shared how the whole thing was a lot like having Stockholm Syndrome. As soon as she was on the show, she realized how, because of the way the producers did everything, she totally left her old life behind and was totally encapsulated in this environment. She shared how when she left the show, how difficult it was to return to her ordinary life because of what happened on the show. And finally, I want to talk about hate mail. This season, ABC did a really great job of sharing how hate mail affects the contestants. This season on The Bachelorette, there was a myriad of different women of color, and on the Women Tell All, they shared how these women had hundreds of messages in their inbox once they got kicked off the show. From saying you're fat, you're ugly, who could love you, you don't deserve love. These horrible messages were just inundated in their inbox. And so looking back, they're just sharing how important it is for people who view reality TV to really actually just treat the contestants as human, because they can be left with a lasting impression because of how viewers watch the show. Now, reality competition shows, we can kind of see, are manipulated by the producers. Because of this, reality competition shows are not as real as viewers may think. We focused on how the producers manipulate the contestants and the medium, and we've seen how this can have long-term effects on the contestants. Now, the next time you watch a reality competition show, it might be fun to figure out what is real and what is not.